What's up, party people? Welcome to the DJ Kenny Parker Show on a Friday. It's a Friday special. Wasn't sure if I was going to jump on, but I decided to jump on. Of course, I was in the crib, and so I decided to jump on and see who was hanging out. And of course, as usual, Spook Realm 4Q is first in the building. What's up, my brother? As usual, we normally, for those that's just checking in, we normally do this on a Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if I'm around on a Friday, I'm gonna start jumping in. So we might start doing two lives a week, some Fridays. Uh, Of course, Spook Realm says assault that like button. Please hit the like button and buy the book. My brother's name is Kenny. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much, Spook Realm 4Q. Um, Greenpeace, Green Lion Entertainment, what's up? Supreme Divine, what's up? See the regulars in the building. Supreme Divine said, tell Karis One I said, what's up? When I speak to him, I will. What up, DJ Kenny Parker? Love you, man. Thank you so much. Um, let's see. Spook Realm is coming from South Coast, Massachusetts in full effect. Boy, I forgot, I haven't heard boy in a long time. That was an 80s standard. Shout out to Flavor Flav. Rod Justice, what up? Let me see if I can move quick this week. Engage VR YouTube channel. Salute. Gregory Nettis, what up? Henry Cedillo, what up? Charles 13X, what up? Dear Marasuti, I see all the regulars. And it's funny that John Walker brings this up. SP1200. Not today, but what I did do was start digging through the discs to see what discs I was going to play. And this is what I came up with. Dun, 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 dun. These are all discs, mostly from the 90s, some early 2000s. I'm not sure what's on them, and I'm not sure how many of them is even going to play. But here's this and this. So really, we're looking like this. And we're going to get to all of them, or some of them. Maybe we'll do a part 1 and part 2. It depends, but we're going to go through those discs and see what's what. So, yes, John Walker, the SP1200 will be in effect probably on Tuesday. If I don't have a guest on Tuesday, I'm going to go over to where the SP1200 is set up and see what we could do. This is going to be wild. Let me bring this closer to me. It is as close as it's going to get. All right, let me see if I can make this bigger then. Okay. MMA Crossfire, what up? I want to say, let me say this. Sweet Goldilocks, what's good? Hold on. Trying to get the right size. Sweet Goldilocks, what's up? Want to give a quick shout out to a true family to the show, Sadat X, get well soon. He's been posting on his channel he's been posting on social media that he's been in the hospital for a few days. I think they found a blood clot in his system, but he seems to be okay now. So get well soon, Sadat. Everybody here, including myself, will be praying for you. We love you, and we hope to get you back on the channel soon. FU2, what it do? In plain sight, Detroit checking in. Ooh, I know y'all mad in Detroit after that Nick loss yesterday. Rosmel, what up? CMC's Techniques in Class, what up on a Friday? Here's a name I don't recognize. DJ Momo, keep doing your thing. Job, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Are you new to the channel? Joey Joe, what up? Adam, hey Kenny, what up? MMA Crossfire said a lot of regulars here on a Friday. So cool. Yeah, man. It's good to see. I love you guys, man. That's the reason why we do this, man. Just I enjoy doing this so much. And for the regulars that rock with me on a Tuesday, rock with me on a Friday, watch the epic fails, watch the other videos, watch the guests when they come on and just hang out on a random day like today. I thank you guys so much. It really means a lot to me. We have our little community here, and I love it, man. We talk about whatever. For those that's just checking in, we don't really have a particular format, uh, but it's basically hip hop. Um, Willie Shelton says, "Yo, KP, peace from Arkansas. Wow, you way out there. Can't wait to hear what's in the stash. Word, yeah, I'm lighting up the SP 1200 this, and I'm gonna read off also what I wrote on the discs at the time. Some of these I was looking at, I have no idea why I wrote what I wrote, but for some reason at the time I wrote on the disc whatever that is so I can remember it. But some of these discs are 25, 30 years old, so who knows what I was thinking at that moment. Kevin Monroe says, what did you like about D&D? The camaraderie. Like I said, D&D, as far as the aesthetics, is probably one of the more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not as modern as the other studios that I had been to. The vending machine had no food in it hardly, but had Philly blunts. You could buy Philly blunts and then no food. The bathrooms were an adventure. There was furniture in the bathroom, like the bathroom was half bathroom, half storeroom. So there could be like couches and stuff and equipment in the bathroom and a bathroom. The couches had a hole in it. It was just, but it was home. And what made D&D dope, it had a certain sound to it. I don't know if it was like the older boards, but it had a certain sound to it. And of course, DJ Premier is what made D&D D&D. I mean, just about every great classic album coming out of New York City on the East Coast. I said New York City on the East Coast. What other coast is it on? Coming out of New York City was in D&D. Illmatic, Ready to Die, Return of the Boom Bap, Reasonable Doubt, All Gangstar. The Beat Miners always were in the other room. All Black Moon, Smith and Wesson. Blase, MOP. Just tons and tons of classic albums and productions came out of D&D, man. So what I liked about it was I liked the camaraderie. If you go in D&D at any moment, you'll see other artists in there, and everybody was just in there chilling. It was on 38th. Was it on? I believe it was 38th, and between 8th and 9th. And then if those that know that area back around that time, the 90s was New York was in a real state of affairs in the 90s. So that was really a beat up area. But Def Rocker says, have you been keeping up with the NBA playoffs? Yes, I've been watching. And some of the games are starting to get good. I watched the Knicks game yesterday. Of course, I'm watching the Lakers because of my boy Luka. I'm watching Denver. I saw the Joker meltdown last night. James Harden is looking good. Normally, James Harden has been less than James Harden in the playoffs, but he's been looking good. And shout out to the Claw. Um, he's been playing fantastic on the Clippers. Um, there's been some big time players playing really big, man. Yes, I've been watching. Actually, when I get off here, I'm going to watch the Laker game. Henry Cedillo said, Sadat X, get well soon, family. Yes. For those that don't heard, Sadat X was in the hospital with a blood clot. Um, but he should be he's out of the hospital, they said, so hopefully he's doing better. Um, Nev Etta Fisher said, Kenny, what's your favorite DJ mixer? I really don't have one. Also, have you ever used those Newmark mixes with the sampler? I've used so many different mixers, especially in concerts. A lot of times you get to the concert, or especially in clubs, you run up in a club and you got like, I usually run in, I got like 1 minute to set up records before KRS is on stage. So whatever mixer is there is the mixer. You got to figure it out. So I probably back in the day used just about every mixer. In the like 1990, there used to be a mixer with sound effects on it. There was a machine gun. There was a police siren. We used to use those a lot. I can't remember who made them, but I used to love those back in the day. Um, Mike Rock 25 says, I just want the Wolves to win this series. Sorry, I do not agree with you, Mike Rock. I'm going for the Lakers. Henry Cedillo says, Kenny P, your personality is so welcoming, down to earth, so to speak. Thank you much. I really appreciate that. I mean, we're here amongst family. We just chilling and we're just talking and having a good time. This is pretty much me most of the time. Appreciate that. Um, let's see. And of course, I'm falling behind. Ed Olivier said, was there a recording studio you preferred? Nah, I didn't really have a studio I preferred. I've done so much work in D&D that I became comfortable there. I did 2 Heather B albums in D&D. Heather B is the only female rapper to ever do an album, her whole album in D&D. But like I've said before on this channel, the album that Heather did in '86 called Taking Mine, which will be her first album that you guys, those that know Heather B, would know, that's really her 3rd album for us. She had 2 albums we were working on that never came out. And in '93, we did an album in D&D that got scrapped. So I did a lot of work in there between working with Heather and working with Chris. I did a lot of work in there. So I'm going to say I prefer D&D only for the familiar, only because I knew it. And because my friends were there. But it wasn't a great studio. In a sense, compared to other studios, like I've been to Sony studio. Sony studios back in the day was ridiculous. The studio where Michael Jackson would rent out like 2 rooms and have Michael Jackson would rent out rooms for a month and don't come but like twice. And let's see, D&D was like 80 to 100 an hour, something like that. So Sony probably was 200 an hour. And Michael Jackson would rent out a month and don't even show up. Crazy budgets. Joey Joe says, yeah, Premier and the Beat Miners is what made other artists want to record there. Absolutely. Premier brought everybody there. Plus, he was working with everybody. Michael from Mortar says, KP, you're right. Us Piston fans are hurting today. Yeah, especially looked like you guys were going to come back. We were right there. That's a tough Piston squad, man. Gregory Netta says, Kenny, have you ever been to Hawaii before? Watching episodes of The Jeffersons and Surf for the Sons always looks fun. No, I've never been to Hawaii. I would love to get there on a vacation. No, I have never been there. Um, let's see. Live Sound One says, have you ever DJed with a band? How did you dig it? I'm not really a fan of DJing with a band. I find it distracting. I think I'm going to say something that's probably going to be not the most popular opinion, but I'm going to say this. I don't really like live bands in hip hop. I don't like when I go to see a rap show and they have a whole band there instead of the music that I know that's from the record. I'm not a fan of that. And the problem is that the drums in hip hop are so important. And some records, the drums are so distinctive that you instantly notice them, or you will not notice them if someone uses different drums. And say the drummer has his drum kit, it's not the same drums, automatically the record's gonna sound different. And a drum machine, is EQ'd to make the drums really hit hard. Sometimes there's an 808 in there, and then you get the live drummer, it just doesn't sound the same. And then the next song has the same drum kit. So you're basically getting the same drums for the most part through the whole concert. And it just sounds off. Unless the song used a live band like the Roots, then I'm not with it in a concert. I want whatever the drums were on the record, I want to hear that in the concert. Now, the Roots do a pretty good job at recreating tracks and making them sound like the original. They do a fantastic job. But outside of the Roots, most of the bands that I hear, it takes away from the songs. I'm just not a fan. And I've seen many groups with a live band, and it's like, nah, man, throw on the sample, throw it on the way I remember it. Now, the Fugees used to rock the DJ. Shout out to DJ Leon, who's one of the dopest show DJs ever, who never gets mentioned. DJ Leon from the Fugees and from Lauryn Hill. He was dope, and he used to throw on the records, and they would rock. They would play over the records, and that was dope. I don't mind the live instrumentation. My problem is with the drums. I don't like live drums in a concert. Now, we used to do shows, and we used to have a bass player. Shout out to Sidney Mills that used to play with us. And I'll be cutting up a beat, and he'll be playing a bass, and Chris will be rhyming. We used to do that back in the day. But for the most part, I just think if you're gonna have a band, just have a band with R&B and stuff. If you're gonna have hip hop, I need the record to sound the way it's supposed to sound. Now, that seems to be a trend with people trying to make a bigger show by having a whole big band playing over their records. And a lot of people do that. I'm not a fan. And I know my opinion might be not the most popular, but I'll stand by mine. CMC's Technique, once again, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. You guys, it really helps, man. I use the money to better the channel, so thank you so much. Sneaking of hip hop, I'll get you in speaking of hip hop. Is Mary J and Nate Dogg R.I.P. considered hip hop? Is there a lane for R&B to be considered hip hop? Absolutely. I think Mary J. Blige, what's the 411, changed the game. Her fusion, shout out to Puffy, her fusion of hip hop and R&B, what Puffy did was he took the sounds of the street. Puffy, let me give you a little backstory. For those that don't know, I talk about this all the time. I hung out in New York City back in the day to the point of obsession. I hung out too much. I was in every big party, and I was also in every little hole in the wall. I used to go to hole in the wall parties with maximum capacity, 60, 70 people. And I used to be in hole in the walls, way in Harlem, in Bronx, Brooklyn, just all over the place enjoying hip hop. And I didn't see any A&R people there, no executives in these places, but I used to see Puff Daddy in a lot of these rinky-dink parties. I used to see him in there. And this is way back in like 91, 92, even 90. I used to see Puff Daddy in these parties. And what he did was he was listening. And what the sound that was popular in Harlem was the Kid Capri and Ron G mix blends, the blends between R&B and hip hop. You know, the when Kid Capri was on here, we talked about Kid Capri did an interview on this channel. For those that didn't get a chance to check it out, please check it out. When Kid Capri was on the channel, we talked about his mix of Stephanie Mills with the drums of Impeach the President, that classic mix, which he said, Puffy said he got inspiration from. And also I'm going to shout out Ron G, who used to make all the blend tapes. Puffy took that sound and took it to the mainstream. And I think his first big remix was the Jodeci Come and Talk to Me, when he used Impeach the President, he used EPMD, You're a Customer, and that was a big hit. And then he made the 411. And I think that album with Puffy's ear to the Harlem streets changed the game and kind of married hip hop and R&B in a way that's lasting to this day. Now, people could say Soul II Soul, Keep On Moving, and Back to Life was kind of on that vibe in 89, but What's the 411 was the album that really put that into the mainstream to me. Because New Jack Swing was something different. New Jack Swing wasn't real. New Jack Swing was a sound all into its own, but it wasn't really hip hop-ish to me. It was more like R&B-ish, up-tempo R&B with some James Brown stabs. But Puffy was taking straight up samples and straight up hip hop records and having Mary sing over them. And so to me, Mary is about as hip hop as it comes. Also, that Meth and Mary, to me, the greatest rap male female collaboration ever. That's pure hip hop. You see Mary and Meth when they, my favorite scene when they was on that roof in the video, and they both, their heads are both rocking. They're on a roof in the video, and Meth looked so grimy up there. But Mary J. Blige also looked like that was not her first time on a roof bopping to some hip hop. She looked as comfortable on that roof as Method Man. And that was just an incredible song. So I consider Mary absolutely hip hop, and Nate Dogg, who has sung some of the most memorable hooks in some of our biggest hip hop songs, especially on the West Coast. So absolutely. And I think all of this comes from the TJ Swan era. TJ Swan singing with Biz, singing with Shan. He was that guy who was like singing with the rappers, and they took it to the next level. So I think guys who sung mostly in hip hop hooks are absolutely hip hop. And he said, "Is there a lane for R&B to be considered hip hop?" I say yes, the way Mary did it on the 411. Even though I think her second album, My Life, is a better album all around, I think What's the 411 changed the game. Long-winded answer. Thank you for the question. And now I'm super behind. I saw somebody said Jordan, or when I was looking, I saw somebody say, here we go. Dartmouth says Jordan or LeBron. I think it's not even close. Jordan. I think it's not even a conversation. I saw Reggie Miller say something yesterday that really put it in perspective for me. He said, LeBron James has the best NBA career of all time, but Jordan was the best player. And that's my assessment too. I think what LeBron has done in these past 5 years, maybe even the past 3 years, 4 years, to fight Father Time, the way he's playing at age 40 is something we've never seen before. And his excellence over 20 years, 22 years, I believe, has never been seen before. And I don't know if we'll ever see it again. So with that, I think with his longevity, he's the best. No one has been as good as him for that long. But in the 13 years that Jordan played, I think Kobe is more in that conversation than LeBron, to me. Plus, LeBron has some things, he has some issues to me, like joining super teams to win a championship. LeBron's story is not like Jordan's. Yeah, he has 4 rings, but there's been some questionable moments. He's disappeared in a lot of playoff series. The biggest shots in his career were made by other people, i.e., Kyrie Irving and Ray Allen. So there's moments that, to me, LeBron was not the greatest ever. If you guys follow what I'm saying, I don't want to stay on that too long, but that's just my opinion. I saw somebody said Luka with his no defense ass. I think Luka. First of all, I think Luka with his size, a 6'7", 6'8" point guard, is going to struggle defending other quick players. And these guys are super talented with the ball handling. I think to ask anybody to stay in front of some of these people, well, some people can, but to ask Luka, his body is not built to be a great defender. Now, does he hustle as hard as he should all the time is really the question. I don't have a problem with Luka getting beat. I have a problem when he seems like he just is going 60% on defense. But that last game they just played, he played his ass off on defense. So it's in there. And but offensively, he's as gifted as almost anyone we've ever seen on the offensive end. He is gifted on the offensive end. All right, let me scroll down. For those that's just checking in, this is the DJ Kenny Parker Show, Friday special edition. We normally do this on a Tuesday, 8 p.m., but we're here on Fridays. We might start doing some Fridays. For those that just checked in, Tuesday we're going to jump into these SP1200 discs that I pull out, see what's working, see how they sound. We're going to get into it if we don't have a guest. So yeah, let's move on. GFRL says Kenny just shuts Roots down. No, I'm not shutting the Roots down. I'm saying I like the Roots because they play their music. The Roots play their music live in the studio, and then they play the same music live in the show. So it sounds like the record. If you buy a Roots record, when you go to see them, it's going to sound similar. And like I said about the Roots, they do a good job of I've seen them play behind other rappers, and I'm listening to them recreate other people's music, and for the most part, it sounds good. That's the Roots. Just about everybody else I've heard, I don't like it. It's just I don't get off. Some people do. It's not for me at all. The drums is what I have a problem with. FU2 says, I don't like live bands and hip hop either. Most songs don't hit the same with the band. Exactly. I think I'll even take a drum machine, an MPC or whatever, and other instruments, the rest of the band. You can have the guitar player, you can have the keyboards, you can have a horn section, you can have a violin, bass, whatever you had in the record, if you're trying to recreate it, let's go. I'll give that a chance. But my drums gotta hit hard, man. If my drums are not hitting hard, I can't. That's not hip hop to me. And I've been to a bunch of shows and been very disappointed. MMA says, I agree, Kenny, with possible exceptions of Brand New Heavies, who seem to have had an understanding for hip hop. Now, I've never seen the Brand New Heavies live, but I remember their videos, and they were playing. Look like it sounds like the Brand New Heavies music was live in the studio. I don't have a problem with that. If you did it live in the studio and I liked it, and you use them same live drummers live, let's go. But I don't want to hear Shook Ones with a live band. I want to hear Shook Ones with the drums that come on. To all my killers and my $100 billers. Doom, doom. It has to hit right, man. That's just my opinion. Henry Sedilla said, great question, because someone the other day was saying that Lauryn Hill wasn't really a rapper, just dabbled a little bit. No, she was a great rapper and a dope singer. My argument with Lauryn Hill, not argument, and shout out to L Boogie, that's the homie. And I feel in her career, she didn't rap enough to be considered. I think she's the #1 greatest female rapper of all time. But I have an asterisk next to her name because she didn't rap enough. And I said, if you took all the verses Lauryn Hill ever did with the Fugees, on Miseducation, whatever, you took them all and put them together, would it equal one album? Would it equal 10 songs? Would it be 30 verses? Has Lauryn done 30 verses in her career? And if so, that's just one album. That would be one dope ass rapping album, but it still would be one album. To me, to be considered the greatest ever, I have to see you do multiple albums and be great in order for me to say that. One album doesn't make you great. One album means you had a great moment. So because of that, I say Lauryn is really a rapper, but she sung probably more than she rapped. But she seems to be great at whatever she does. If she wants to act, she's great. If she wants to rap, she's great. If she wants to sing, she's great. FU2 says, you are capable. Most MCs don't sound good with a band. The Roots do it right usually. Yeah, they are a band. They're not a hip hop group with a band behind them. They are a band. But I thought the Fugees with the DJing and the band, I thought they sounded good. Joey Joe says Lauryn Hill is a rapper, but her album is R&B album, plain and simple. Yet Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is an R&B album. And listen to her on the Fugees. The score. How much how much rapping did she do? I would argue she did equal rapping and singing, probably, or close to it. And I still say one of the dopest shows I've ever seen in my life was Lauryn Hill at Madison Square Garden in 1998 when the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was out. She bodied that show. Kevin Monroe says Force MDs is the originator, not Mary J. Blige. See, when I'm talking about set the trend. The Force MDs, first of all, the Force MDs, I don't remember them ever rapping I think they rapped on their first single, but they were strictly R&B band to me. I don't remember them rapping over hard beat. I mean, singing over hard beats. They were singing ballads. Even "Love Is a House" is a ballad to me. I mean, they probably had something on the album, but the Force MDs didn't set the trend. The trend happened after Mary J. Blige "What's the 411" in 1991, 92. After that is when the game changed. Everything before that, like I said, Soul to Soul touched it, and New Jack Swing was there, but that's different to me. Um, I would not say the Force MDs are originators. Not to me. I would say, like I said, I would put TJ Swan more in that category of like a early Nate Dogg. He was the first Nate Dogg. Um, More now with Force MDs. I mean, what record do we know? Even "Let Me Love You." That was an R&B record to me, and I love the Force MDs. Mike Rocks 25 says, I still have my Ron G tapes. Word. Shout out to the youngest in charge. That's the homie. Um, I'm gonna scroll down because I'm falling behind. Joey says the only rappers who rapped over New Jack Swing was Kumo D, Heavy D, and Rex and Effects. That's all because Teddy was producing them. I mean, I'm sure there was other, like they was trying to say Bell Biv DeVoe was rap with a little hip hop. What was it, R&B with a little hip hop swing or whatever that was? That wasn't hip hop to me. Um, let's see. Mike Rocks 25 says, historically speaking, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the GOAT. High school, college, pros. And there's a great argument that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar could be considered the greatest of all time. Based on his accomplishments, he might have the greatest career ever. But he really tallied off after, like, say, his last, like, what, 3 years or so, 2, 3 years, he had really took a drop off. LeBron is still like an all pro. He's at an all pro level. At 40 is bananas. Um, but you could argue Jabbar. I don't have a problem with that. I think it's hard to argue centers and guards and stuff, but I just think Jordan is the most complete and greatest player that I've ever seen. Not just his talent, but his will to win, the clutch moments is unmatched. His story, the top 50 players that he beat to win it all. He never left and if imagine if Jordan, after he lost to the Pistons when he was young, said, you know what, I'm just gonna go get down with Magic and them. And then it would have been Magic, Worthy, Jordan, Kareem, and then he won, and then people saying he's the greatest of all time. Of course, yeah. You put him with Magic and Worthy, or let me get down with Larry Bird and them. No, Jordan was like, I'm taking my five. You got your five. I got my five. Let's go. I think if LeBron had the exact same career, but stayed in Cleveland the whole time, now we'd be talking. I still think Jordan would be better, but now to me it'd be a different conversation. I don't want to butcher your name, Maurizio. Maurizio one. Have you ever met MC Hammer or Vanilla Ice? No, I've never met either one of them. Heather B told me she met Hammer and he was mad cool. Joey Joe brought up Father MC. Shout out to Father MC. Yeah, he was on Uptown. And Puffy, I do believe Puffy had his hand in that too. And Mary was singing on one of his big singles. Uptown Records was on the forefront of that movement. Um, let's see. Um, I'm scrolling down trying to see. Um, Okay, shout out Bill Shapiro. Um, Henry's Daily says, what about Belle Biv DeVoe, Kenny P? According to Michael Bivens' explanation of this, I don't think Belle Biv DeVoe is hip hop by no means. I mean, Ronnie, they would always rap in their records. They would always have a little rap, even in Candy Girl. My girls like candy, a candy dream. She knocked me hot up off my feet. They would rap in their R&B, but that to me that's an R&B group that would rap from time to time. Even Belle Biv DeVoe, Poison was like a New Jack Swingy type record, but the rest of them songs were like R&B. Even Poison to me, and I always think Chris should have got publishing for saying they took Never Trust a Big Button a Smile. That's from the record Jimmy. Karis One should have got publishing on that song Poison. Publishing on that album and song is probably worth. If Karis had got publishing for saying Don't Trust a Big Button a Smile, they said it like 3 times in the record, he probably could have got 10% of the publishing of the writers on a song like that. All these years later, that's probably worth millions. Karis probably lost millions by not getting publishing for saying Don't Trust a Big Button to Smile. Now, he's not the type of person that would sue, but I'm surprised Jive didn't. Corey Flesh says, I think Jeff Red's song set it in motion, the hip-hop soul move. Mary, what's the 411 follow? You called and told me? That's a good point. He's on Uptown, too. Shout out to Jeff Red, too. That's the homie. I don't know if that set off the movement, but it was right before Mary. That was like right before Mary. Probably months before Mary dropped. And he used the T-Ski Valley. That's a really good point. He used the T-Ski Valley. That's a real beat. He sung on it. I would say that's more of an originator than Force MDs. But I still think what's the 411, when that dropped is when the shift, you could see the shift after that. But I could see Jeff Red's song being set in motion. Puffy might have got inspiration from that. Puffy was in all them clubs, man. I'm telling you, I used to see him. Dirty spots, look like storefronts. I used to be in them parties too. That's a good point, Corey Flood. Because that song has all the elements of what would become modern R&B. Wonder how much earlier did that song come out? Was that on the New Jack City soundtrack? Wonder how much earlier did that come out than You Remind Me by Mary and her album? I would say months. I'm still going with what's the 411 as the trendsetter, but that's a good point. That has to be an inspiration, Jeff Red, because that song has all the elements. Good call, Corey Flood. MMA Crossfire says Kareem is the oldest NBA Finals MVP. What year? How old was he? I do believe that would be what, 87, 88? There's an argument for Kareem, man. There's a real argument for him. Stetsasonic, the original hip-hop band. They was. But I do believe when I saw Stetsasonic, I believe they was rocking off records. Wasn't Prince Paul their DJ? I believe that they was rocking off records live, though. That goes Stetsa. Oh, my God. Dumb drums. And I do believe that came from a drum kit. Was ridiculous. Bill Shapiro says BBD is an R&B rap blend off. Yeah, but I say heavy R&B sprinkled with rap. Mary is like 50-50. Mary is like R&B with like, especially that remix album. The remix album to What's the 411 is straight. If you took Mary off, you could put an MC right on that album. Puffy really took that sound and made it his own. Yeah, Divine Existence says, in hip hop, I prefer a solid DJ over a band in almost every situation. Run DMC needs Jay to cut. Run, 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 run. Exactly. I don't want it. I don't. It's not for me, man. It's. Mm-mm. Whenever I see them concerts, they be like, Nas is gonna be at Radio City Music Hall with a full orchestra doing the Illmatic album. I'm just like, I'll pass. I'll wait for Nas to do the Illmatic album with DJ Green Lantern or LES or whoever. Oh. EZ says, no Hammer horror stories? No. I don't have any Hammer horror stories, although I heard Hammer was the real deal. He had a lot of people who talked ish about him, pressed them when they came to Cali. I'm pretty sure my brother met Hammer. Pretty sure, but I have never met Hammer. Oh shit. D Dirty says Jodeci sung on Father MC's Treat Them Like They Want to Be Treated. That's right, treat them like they want to be treated. Yeah, before they came out, that's right. Father MC, I believe, has 2 gold albums. Um, Jack Swagger says G-Rap should have got publishing on Poison. In 1990, it was still the Wild Wild West as far as publishing and sample clearances, but hell yeah. It wasn't G-Rap in the video going, Poison, Poison. He came to the video shoot. Right, them sampling him going, Poison, Poison. He could, that's a check that he probably could have got more than KRS. He probably lost $1 million. Easy. Then again, did he even own the publishing? Because Cold Chillin', they was over there hurting people, just like every other rap label. Sonic Intox, no cap, bro. First time YouTube ever showed me your channel. Word, instant like and subscribe. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's why I implore everybody to hit the like button because it helps the algorithm and help people like Sonic Intox to find the channel. Sonic, this is our 92nd show in a row. You've missed 92 incredible conversations, but if you go back, check out the old conversations we have. I got a bunch of interviews with different producers and DJs on here live, and I got a bunch of stories. I call them epic fails. There's like 20 something of those. There's a bunch of stuff to check out on this channel to catch up. But thank you so much. Big up to a new addition to the fam. MMA Crossfire says, so the 2 super team argument is not persuasive to me. The Lakers and Celtics were super teams in the 80s, and they grabbed many former great players from other teams. I agree with, no, well, they were super teams, but a lot of it was organic, though. When you look at the Lakers, Kareem came in that big blockbuster trade with the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they traded like 6 or 7 people for Kareem, and that team still wasn't that good. That team wasn't that good. Magic was a draft choice. Jamal Wilkes, I believe, no, he was on the Golden State Warriors and came over. James Worthy was a draft choice. So you're looking at of their Hall of Fame players, Michael Cooper, Magic, and James Worthy were draft choices. Kareem came earlier, and then they picked up people at the tail end of their career, like Bob McAdoo. Bob McAdoo was an MVP, but by the time he got to the Lakers, he wasn't Bob McAdoo from the 70s. He wasn't Bob McAdoo from the Buffalo Braves. He was a role player. I'm trying to think who else was on them Laker teams. I mean, AC Green, I think he was a draftee. Byron Scott, I think, was a draftee. That Lakers team was a super team, but that was due to great management. Now you look at the Celtics. Kevin McHale was a draftee. Larry Bird was a draftee. Robert Parrish they got on a trade to the Celtics. Now Tiny Archibald Tiny Archibald in the first Celtics championship in the 80s, he was a superstar that came to the Celtics. And Dennis Johnson was an all-star that came to the Celtics. Those two guys Dennis Johnson had already won a championship. So those two guys had came to the Celtics and joined an already good team. But everybody else, Cornbread Maxwell, I think he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm trying to think who was a Hall of Famer. Bill Walton came to the Celtics, but he was already old. Pistol Pete came to the Celtics. He was already old. I'm going to argue that these teams, they were super teams, but they were mostly draft picks and trades. There wasn't a superstar free agent who decided, I'm going to join another great winning team so I can win a championship. That was unheard of. Only Moses, I think Moses Malone was an MVP. And he came to the 76ers and they already had Dr. J. And that's the team that won 4-5-4. I'm really digging into my history now, but I think Moses joining Dr. J was a super team that won the championship. I think the rest of those teams was homegrown, man. Or you traded somebody and I for somebody else, and to me that's we both feel like it's a fair trade. But for somebody to leave a team to go to a championship team multiple times, to me that hurts your legacy. To me. But I see what you're saying, MMA, but to me it's a different argument. If Magic had joined with Larry Bird, that's different. Mike Rocks 2025, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. Says KP, the Michael Thompson Lakers had 4 #1 picks on the team, super team. 4 #1 picks that they picked. It's a super team, but we got #1 picks. I think they got one of them picks was good. I think they got Magic on some, or was it Worthy? They were good and wasn't supposed to get the #1 pick, and then they got James Worthy. I think good management got them to have those picks. Not that one of those picks left a team and went to the Lakers. That's my argument. James Worthy went from North Carolina to the Lakers. Magic went from Michigan State to the Lakers. Kareem joined a team that was not good. So I don't think they're super teams, but by management, not by a player forcing his way on. To me. Mad Urgency, Myron says Bobby Simmons. Yeah, Bobby Simmons on the drums. That's my dude. From Stetsasonic. This is a good argument. Chris Morale says, do you think Curtis Blow set the R&B and rap fusion in motion? No, but he had full-blown singers on the Fat Boy songs like Allison Williams on the hooks, etc. Album had crazy rap style beats on them. there was singing in hip hop back in the day. Cause the Fat Boy, one of my favorite Fat Boys records is "Can You Feel It? I Am the Human Being." Was dope in '85. Um, Houdini used to sing "The Freaks Come Out at Night," but that wasn't a trend. R&B didn't change. It was hip hop borrowing little pieces of R&B, but R&B was like, we have nothing to do with hip hop. R&B would not. I want to see an R&B singer who was singing that went into the hip hop world to make their sound. Hip hop was borrowing a couple of singers and putting them on R&B beats. Like you had "What People Do for Money." That's a hip hop group with a hook. Um, uh, what's this dude? "Hey DJ," um, world famous Supreme Team. That's a hip hop dude with R&B. But I would like to see like Janet Jackson rocking over sucker MCs, or Whitney Houston rocking over Rock the Bells or Lottie Dottie or something like that. They weren't going to do that. Not until Mary did it. When Mary did it, then everybody did it. And Curtis Blow, actually, one of my favorite Curtis Blow records of all time, and one of my favorite records of all time is Daydreaming. Daydreaming, Curtis Blow straight killed that record. And it was never on, it was on the album. I saw Curtis Blow one time. The first time I ever met Curtis Blow was BDP had a show at the Apollo, and Curtis Blow was there. And I walked up to him and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Blow." I said, "Excuse me, Mr. Blow." I said, "Is there a 12-inch? Do you have a 12-inch single for Daydreaming?" And he said, "No, I do not." I don't believe in America there was ever a 12-inch single. Now, there was 45 of Daydreaming, but it was never on 12-inch. But that's probably my favorite Curtis Blow record. That's straight R&B. But that's a good point. I don't think it set the thing in motion. But I think, like, same way I don't think The Message set conscious rap in motion. It was like a slow bomb. The Message came out in '82 and changed the game. I think that's the most important song of all time. But the conscious movement didn't start after that. The conscious movement didn't start until '88. Public Enemy, BDP is when the wave started. It took 6 years. It's like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five made The Message, and then 6 years later, somebody said, let's pick up on that and run with it. So for me to say certain people might have done it first, but it didn't set the trend, to me. Okay. Let me move on. Mike Rocks 24 said, "Hold on, MC Shan had the first hip hop love ballad with 'Left Me Lonely,' and LL followed up with 'I Need Love.'" You know what's funny? I thought 'I Need Love' was first. In my mind, maybe LL dropped that single before Shan. I don't remember. In my mind, I felt like 'I Need Love,' which changed the game, was first. But Shan's album, it might have been on Shan's album, but not out. Maybe LL beat him to the punch with a video. But I'd have to see the timeline on that. 'Left Me Lonely' was dope though. Um, MK Ultra says, "Have you ever met Too Short?" Absolutely. Shout out to Short Dog. We were all on Jive. I wasn't on Jive. I was never signed to Jive. KRS was on Jive, but you know what I mean. BDP was on Jive. I used to see Too Short all the time when we went to Oakland. Matter of fact, and we did shows with Too Short. Matter of fact, we did 2 shows in 1990 when we had Love's Gonna Get You was our big single, was playing all over the country, and he had The Ghetto. Both of them songs were really big at the time. We did 2 shows, one in Louisiana at LSU and one somewhere else. And we headlined one show, and the next night, Too Short headlined the other show. And in that area, Too Short was just as big or bigger than BDP in the dirty, dirty South. I think it was. I think he headlined Louisiana State, and we headlined the night before, but I can't remember where we were the night before. But yeah, I met Too Short. I seen Too Short in New York, and I was going to a club. Of course, I was, and I saw Too Short go to the club. Said, "What's up? What's up?" Kept it moving. Yeah, I have met Short Dog before. Um, Floetry One says, "Peace, KP. Happy Friday. Do anything this weekend?" Not sure yet. Um, Jamel says, "Has you or your brother toured with a lot of reggae artists?" Well, we jumped on stage with a lot of reggae artists. We toured with Shaba. Big up Shaba. I'm gonna do my Shaba Ranks impression, even though y'all say it sucks. But for those that haven't heard it, the last time I saw Shaba Ranks, he said to me, "Where's your brother?" That's my Shaba Ranks impression. And people on here said my Shaba impression sucks, but there it is. We were on tour with Shaba. We did shows with Supercat. Um, I'm trying to think. We used to do shows with everybody, all kind of different groups. We used to run up on these they used to be like free concerts in the park in New York. Like they used to do there's a place called Tompkins Square Park in the Village, and they had like a band shell, and like the reggae artists, reggae dudes would come out there with their big sound system and just play records for the homeless and just for people walking by, and like a crowd would form. We would come there on a Saturday and rock with the reggae dudes. I'd be throwing on reggae 45s and we'd be rocking. We used to do that a lot. Run up in the reggae spots. Um, I'm trying to think who else we did actual shows with. I saw KRS and Maxi Priest chilling before. I don't know if it was on a bill or they just bumped into each other. Um, of course, Mad Lion, he don't count. Shinehead, we did shows with. Steel Pulse, we did a show with. Okay, this is what I remember off the top of my head. Um, yeah. Damn, I can't remember. We did a show with Cardigan. That's his name. I think I'm saying his name. Cardigan, the old white guy with all the dub plates. We did a show with Cardigan in the UK back in 2010. We did a show with Sting International. Yeah, we did a few reggae artists. Let's see. I'm way, I'm just gonna scroll down. I do this every week, y'all. I try to say I'm gonna keep up, and every week I fail. Joey Joe says Shabba Ranks and Supercat need to put out new albums. Absolutely. Those are my two favorite reggae artists of all time. Right there. Big up to Shabba Ranks. Big up to the Don Dada Supercat. For those of you that didn't get a chance to check out my PM Dawn breakdown, KRS-One versus PM Dawn, please, I know everybody watching this already saw that, but the reason I bring that up was because Super Cat was on that bill and was supposed to go on after PM Dawn. But due to the ruckus in the party, Super Cat never went on. And I heard somebody who knew Super Cat was saying that Super Cat wasn't really familiar with a lot of hip hop shows. So he thought that PM Dawn incident was how all hip hop shows was. So he was like, yo, this is like Jamaica, like word. He was weird. Like Shinehead, Super Cat thought artists getting thrown off the stage was regular. But he never got to perform, I think, because of the melee. I would love to see Shaba again. I would love to have him on this channel too. I'm here at the bottom. All right, let me go back up a little bit to the top and see what I miss. MMA says the ghetto and the video was pretty good. That still holds up. Yeah, that's my favorite Too Short record. I thought the ghetto was dope. I thought that, and that album went double plat. In 1990, Too Short was killing them. D. Nizzy said Russell stopped radio stations from playing Left Me Lonely. I kind of heard that. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory, but I kind of heard that. Def Jam was playing a real dirty game back in the day, man. That's why they won. Joey Joe says, hold up, didn't King Son put out an R&B-ish joint before LL? Hey, love. Hey, love, you're the one that I adore. I feel like Hey Love was around the same time as LL, I Need Love. All that was around that same time. Do y'all count Waterbed Kevy Cav's record as a love song? That was probably the first. Or Houdini, One Love. But yeah, do y'all count Waterbed Kevy Cav? Let's see. Reggie Johnson says LL had a love song on his first album, I Want You. See, I don't even remember that. I guess that song didn't really make any noise. B.R. Valentine said Questlove said his whole goal was to make his drums sound like breaks, which he did. And I do believe now, like the drum kits now, there are drum kits now that you can put sounds in them, so it almost sounds like you can play samples, like you could sample certain drum sounds and then play them on your drum thing. Because it seems like when I watch the Roots recreate other people's stuff, they seem to change the drum. Questlove seems to change the drum sounds completely. I don't know anything about drums, live drums like that, so I don't know. Oh, this is big right here. D. Nizzy says, Orange Juice Jones, I heard, wrote Daydreaming. Word? Can we fact check that? Daydreaming. Word? I did not know that. I love Daydreaming. Matter of fact, I was listening to that just the other day. Big Block says, what up, Doe KP? Nice to hear you on a Friday. Yes, sir. We every once in a while. Well, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to do some Fridays in the month. I'm gonna try to see if I'm home. I'm gonna try to do some Fridays. If you guys want to hang out, let's do it. We normally do a Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for those that just checking in. And big up to the Rewind crew, who's going to be checking this out later on. Jody Watley, I believe, was the first rap R&B duet featuring the God MC. Yeah, I remember that. What about your friends? Um, I think that was '89. I think she was the first to put. Was she the first? I know she, to put a real rapper in her. She actually went into the hip hop world and took a rapper and brought them into the R&B world. Yes, not the same as what Mary did, but yeah. Um, Parson79 says, what about the group Whistle? They went from rapping on Only Buggin' to Brenda's Bedroom. I don't remember Brenda's Bedroom, but I do remember UTFO had Fairy Tale Lover. They went from um Roxanne and all that to Fairy. I liked Fairy Tale Lover actually. Did that come out before LL? No, I think that came out after LL. I liked Fairy Tale Lover though. Shout out to rest in peace to Kango. Rest in peace to the educated rapper. Um, Shout out to my man Dr. Ice. I haven't seen him in forever. Shout out to the DJ Mixmaster Ice. Mixmaster Ice. Dope DJ, by the way. Um, Reggie Johnson says Lisa Lisa. I consider that more freestyle, right? Yeah, I'm seeing some of these comments. Henry Cedillo said UTFO was singing too, right? Yeah, they was, but they was making straight ballads though. I mean, Super Rhymes was damn near singing. Def Rocker says Nucleus jam on it. What that used to be playing a lot on R&B radio. Jam on. Was there singing? There was no singing on Jam. He was rapping. That was a rap song. That was a rap R&B. I don't know what Jam on. I don't even know how to categorize Jam on it. Is that a rap song? Jam on it. Because he was rapping, but the music was real R&B. I had that robot voice. Um, let's see. Gregory Netta says, Kenny, would you interview Puffy or Suge Knight? Sure, I would. I mean, Suge Knight, he seems to embellish a lot, though. I don't know him, never met him, but he seems to say a lot of things that can't be corroborated, and he seems to add extraness to his answers to his questions and the things that I've seen, so I don't know. Short interview Puffy. I'll tell you a funny Puffy story. There's a video on YouTube of Boogie Down Productions live in Harlem. Harlem Week. There used to be an event called Harlem Week every year in Harlem at the State Building on 125th Street, which is down a block from the Apollo. And all the groups used to perform there. It would be like an all-day event. There was a lot of stuff going on, but the end of the thing was like a rap, hip-hop, like a rock to vote kind of concert, and all the groups would be on there. And the year we jumped on, I think we headlined in 1990, and our song Love's Gonna Get You was like at its peak. And if you watch the video, When the record dropped, I throw on Love's Gonna Get You, boom, boom, boom. And you see the whole place go, ah. What you can't see is that there was 30,000 people out there. And when KRS said, I pull about a G a week, the whole Harlem said, fuck school. It was so funny. It was like, I remember that time because like the hottest records in New York City at that moment, I remember on the chart on Kiss was like #1 was Bonita Applebum. #2 was Booming System by LL Cool J. #3 was Love's Gonna Get You. Those are like the three biggest songs in New York at that moment. And Tribe performed that day too. But there's a video of the show. Now, what you guys can't see is that when I was DJing, the turntables were very shaky. And there was people walking by, trying to walk past me. And I was getting frustrated telling people to move, move. This is on YouTube. And we had a security with us named Benji. Benji used to do security for Bob Marley back in the day. He was a serious Rastafarian, big dude, rest in peace, Benji. He was standing next to me. And I remember when I think it was The Bridge Is Over. If you guys go watch it, when The Bridge Is Over come on, you see this young guy come and start dancing next to me. And it was Puffy. This is in 1990, so he probably was still at Howard doing that Puffy dance. If you watch it, you'll immediately go, that's Puff. And he's dancing, and I'm like, yo. And I told Benji, yo, tell this dude to move over. And Benji is kind of moving Puffy to the side. And you can see Puffy going like, yo, why are you pushing me? And Benji's like moving him out the way because I didn't want the record to skip because this dude was dancing next to me. It's on YouTube. It's Boogie Down Productions live in Harlem. And I do believe the song was The Bridge Is Over. I think when The Bridge Is Over came on, Puffy couldn't take it. And he started doing his Puffy dance. And I had to get him up out of there. That should have been a Puffy epic fail. I should do that as an epic fail and show the video and everything. Yeah, but I just thought about that when you just said it. To answer your question, Gregory Nettis, absolutely I would interview Puffy or Suge Knight. We're at 1:17. I'm probably going to jump off, watch some basketball. Parsons79 said Byron Scott was a trade. Okay, Byron Scott was not a draft. Okay, that was a trade. But okay, I'll take that. That was a trade. He was not an all-star when he got traded. That was good management. The Lakers and the Celtics were built on good management, I believe. They became super teams because management guessed correctly. Matter of fact, the Celtics traded away, I do believe it was Joe Barry Carroll, who was an all-star, and somebody else to get Robert Parrish. And he became a Hall of Famer. And I think they did another crazy trade to get the rights to Kevin McHale. That was dope management at the time. Thank you so much, CMCs, once again for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate it. I'm going to jump off on that note. Let me scroll all the way down to the bottom, make sure I got everything. Yeah, I see some comments. I'm going to look at these real quick, and then I'm going to jump off. Quinte Star says, KRS seems to embellish also. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm going to let that be a matter of opinion. I'm going to say hold tight for the Kenny Parker KRS-One interview because I'll know if he's embellishing or not. We're going to have a really good conversation. The interview I'm going to do with KRS-One is going to be like no other because A, I know him better than anybody else, and B, I was there for a lot of stuff, and I know what to ask him. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna leave that one there. I'm gonna leave that one there. That's a matter of opinion. Um, Chris Morales says, I'm sitting here bullshitting and Sugar's doing a podcast from jail. I just saw today that R. Kelly is singing happy birthday to people over the phone from jail. R. Kelly is doing like birthday grams and like congratulations over the phone. Imagine having R. Kelly on the phone. Congratulations singing. Dudes are doing it from jail, man. You should be doing a lot of talking from jail. Rod Justice says Jam On It was hip hop in the vein of Soul Sonic Force. Yeah, absolutely. And once again, rest in peace to Powwow, by the way. Reggie Johnson said, have you ever met Dead Prez? I met, not Stickman. Oh, the dark-skinned one. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. So sorry. I think the light-skinned one is Stickman, the dark-skinned one. Ah, I'm sorry, man. I can't remember your name off the top of my head. That's whack, because I did meet him and he was mad cool. Jack Swagger says, laugh my ass off at the whole Harlem singing fuck school. 30,000. Go watch the video. And the video is not even giving you all that you could. Because Will, when I dropped the music, Will set it on the mic a little bit in the background, so it kind of, you couldn't hear the crowd. But I'm telling you, the camera shall pull about a G a week. Everybody in the whole upper New York City said fuck school. It was hilarious, man. Absolutely hilarious. Yeah, but y'all gotta watch that because you gotta see me tell Puffy to get out the way, man. Mike Rock says that's a great Puffy epic fail. I should have did the story, right? I mean, I could still do it. It's only just us watching. More people watch the epic fails. Should I do it as an epic fail so I can tell the whole story and show the video and everything? That would be funny, but I didn't know Puffy at the time. He was just some dude dancing next to the turntables. What you doing? All right. We are out of here. I'm scrolling down to the bottom. And Rod Justice is M1. That's the name of the other guy from Dead Prez, right? Yeah. Sorry, M1. All right. I'm at the bottom. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for checking out the DJ Kenny Parker Friday. Thank y'all guys so much for hanging out on a Friday. I mean, I happen to be home. I guess you guys are home. Big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later. And Tuesday, I should be doing the SP1200 challenge. I know you guys are going to try to go in on me, but I'm going to play some beats from back. All beats is at least, any beat that I play is going to be at least 25 years old or more. And we're gonna see what's up. CMC says, great show. Thank you so much. All right, I'm out. I'll catch you guys. Let me see, let me make this smaller. I'll catch you guys on Tuesday. All right, peace.